Today we are going to be playing a game which I'm calling Find the Magical Nutrient, in which we try our very best to find exactly what it is carnists are talking about when they say they need to eat animal products to be healthy. Hold on though, before we go any further I need to fix something. It's a bit stiff and weird just me talking to you like this, so how about some background music? As I'm talking about things that are a bit sciencey today, let's just search online for some free sciencey background music, and there. Okay, let's continue. Now the way I've decided to play this game is to go into a nutrition tracker and compare the nutritional values of a single serving of a given animal product directly with a plant food that a vegan like myself might normally eat in its place. Now I made sure to go with the recommended single serving size for each of these products I'll be comparing, and I purposefully chose some of the most common and readily available animal and plant foods that people eat. Oh, and I'm specifically going to be comparing the nutrients that carnists tend to talk about when they say they need animal products. The nutrition tracker I chose for this experiment is Cronometer, reason being is that it is free to use and it's touted as having some of the most accurate nutrition data available. But yeah, disclaimer, other nutrition trackers do exist, so feel free to test this in others if you wish. I've broken this comparison down into 4 nutrients: protein, omega-3, iron, and calcium. In my experience, these are the 4 most commonly cited nutrients that carnists tell me they can't get enough of from plant foods, though I do make a quick mention about vitamin B12 as well towards the end, as it would be criminal of me not to. So number 1, protein. For protein, the foods I picked were beef and beans. So beef is usually considered to be one of the most protein-dense foods people eat, and I could have picked a meat substitute like seitan to go against it, which would have absolutely demolished beef when it comes to protein content. But I chose to keep things simple and stick with good old beans. Significantly cheaper than beef of course, and without the high fat content and carcinogenic properties, not to mention not having to raise and murder a cow to get them. Both the beef and the beans had pretty good coverage of all the essential amino acids, although both slightly lower on the cysteine side, but as you can see in general, 1 cup of, in this case, black beans has almost double the protein content as a portion of sirloin steak, and manages to cover all the amino acid profiles. Number 2 then is omega-3. The obvious choice for the animal product was fish, and in this case I went with cod. Carnists do love to tell me how dead fish bodies are the best source of omega-3, and in doing this video I was tempted to pair fish against seaweed, which would have absolutely mopped the floor, but not everyone likes the taste of seaweed and it's a pretty difficult product to store for long periods of time, so instead I went with flax seeds. This is 1 tablespoon of flax seeds by the way, which personally I try to have every day, either chucked into a bowl of porridge or cereal, or you can bake with it, or put it in just about anything really. If you're the kind of person who enjoys a smoothie, you could chuck 2 or 3 tablespoons in without even noticing. In fact, it's only going to make it taste better. So yeah, ground flax is a perfect source of omega-3. As you can see, eating 1 serving of cod is only providing less than 1/3 of your RDA of omega-3, whereas a single tablespoon of flax seeds has your entire RDA covered. So plant-based wins again by a mile. Now for number 3, iron. How often do you hear carnists say vegans will become anemic without meat? I could have been selective with my choices here and gone with something like chicken, but I think we all know it's red meat which contains the highest amounts of iron, so instead I went with a little murdered baby lamb, specifically their shoulder, and chose to compare it to 1 cup of cooked spinach, which, let's be honest, 1 cup of spinach isn't ever enough with the way that stuff wilts and reduces when cooked. Sure, the lamb shoulder is giving us 60% of our RDA of iron, almost a good enough reason to murder them, but once again the cup of spinach wins by coming in at 80% of our RDA. So finally, calcium. Yes, of course, if humans go vegan and stop drinking the breast milk of other species as adults, our bones will surely crumble and break into dust due to the lack of calcium. Well, when we compare 1 cup of 2% milk to 1 cup of unfortified oat milk, isn't it funny that they both have pretty much the same amount of calcium? And I chose oat milk for taste and environmental reasons. I could have gone with soy milk, which has even more calcium. Additionally, it's worth mentioning that most shop-bought oat milk is fortified with calcium as well, meaning it would likely be more than the figure I'm showing here. And while we're at it, we can talk about cobalamin, aka vitamin B12. and how that's also usually fortified into oat milk as well as other plant-based products that act as alternatives to animal ones. If we swap our 1 glass of unfortified oat milk with 1 glass of oat milk that's been fortified with nothing except vitamin B12, well, now we can see we've already hit our RDA, something even the cow's milk wasn't capable of. So today's game of Find the Magical Nutrient was a failure. We weren't able to discover what it is that carnists have that vegans lack that means carnists are justified in murdering animals for health. In fact, all we did was show that generally it's easier to get proper nutrition from eating plants in place of animal products, as long as you know what plants to eat for what nutrients. And seeing as pretty much everyone by the age of 5 knows how to operate Google's search engine, that information is readily available to us all. There was one thing though, one thing I noticed when making this video. On Cronometer, which is intended to help you plan your diet, there are certain things it doesn't let you set a daily goal for, as they are unhealthy. These were things like alcohol and caffeine, refined sugars, and certain unhealthy fats. Things you might want to track in order to understand how much you're having, but not things you should be aiming to consume. One of these things? Cholesterol. Cholesterol is the main contributor to our #1 killer, heart disease. In fact, just in the United States of America, someone dies of heart disease on average every 35 seconds. And guess what? Cholesterol is only found in animal products, never in plant foods. Though it is still possible for a vegan to have high cholesterol if they eat nothing but junk food, as our body produces its own cholesterol, and a fatty diet will clog up your circulatory system regardless. However, it's undeniable that if everyone were vegan, heart disease would become a more rare occurrence instead of being the most likely way for the average person in the West to die, as it is now. Could cholesterol be the magical quote-unquote nutrient that we were looking for? Could it just be that all carnists are secretly wanting to develop heart disease? I mean, what other explanation can they offer? Let me know what you think in the comments. The hunt for the magical nutrient is still on.